All right. Good evening, and welcome to the February 2nd, 2023 council meeting. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Patricelli,
Present?
Councilwoman Diamond,
Present.
Councilman Dawes.
Here. All right, I'll ask everybody to please stand. Say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. I'll ask that we read the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the January 19th meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and second. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes,
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond,
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor. We'll go right into reports of officers and committees.
All right. As we know, we've been talking to Verizon Fios about getting Fios into the city of Watervliet. I sent a brochure to the mayor today with the link and asked him to kind of polish it up a little bit. With the link as to how you get onto it, and you put in your zip code, an email address, and a phone number, and then that registers the residency. And once you start registering the residency and the requests, it raises you up, so then the city would actually look to get Fios. So it's now in the mayor's hands, so he can polish that up, and we're going to post it on the website, post it on Facebook, and hopefully we get buy-in from the residents to do it, because it would impact the city greatly by having a better internet service.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I know this is a ways, a few months off, but maybe put it in the water bill also. If,
Okay.
I mean, if, depending on, we're not looking, I guess, Joe looked at you, sorry. So just, if we're still doing it at that point.
Yeah, I think we should continue to keep it on.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So, we'll do it.
That's great.
All right. Also, I had structural engineers over to the pool house today. We looked at, if you know how we had a flat roof back when this was originally designed, and the concrete blends itself together because they pour that in sections. And over the years, the city has put baffles on that connector where the two concrete platforms meet. We took one of those platforms off today because we were noticing some sags in the actual baffles to protect it. And I'll circulate pictures tomorrow with it. But when we took the one baffle down, there was concrete in there, so they're starting to fail. So we looked at what the process is. We got up into the attic space, and we noticed an asbestos layer of roofing, some water that had made its way into it that you could see that did damage over the years when all they did was tarp the shingle, and when we had a hole in that roof, which led to the potential failure. So we have two options now as we're looking at it and talking to the structural engineer. The walls seem to be good, the exterior walls. There's a couple interior walls that have failure as well on it. So the two options are you attack this by taking off the roof, the gabled roof, and then chipping away the concrete and taking that off and then rebuilding back the gabled roof. That's one option. And depending on the cost, because you got to treat that with all asbestos, the next step would be is redesign the building. Take the building completely down, rebuild a new one, whether it be smaller, bigger, same size, maybe put some amenities in for future, like a concession stand and those type of things. I really won't know what to present to you until I get that back from the structural engineer. But he says, not this year, not next year, but the immediacy is coming. So we have to look to prepare ourselves for the pool house in the future as a major repair. But once we get numbers, we can talk a little bit more than we have in the past.
You remember what that pool house looked like when we started here, right?
Yes.
It was absolutely a disgrace. The building
Yeah.
was basically, it was the chipping paint, the walls were actually falling in, the roof had the hole in it with the tarp over it. It was a disgrace.
Yeah.
Really, and it was just full of junk and garbage. I don't even know how you would have, been able to operate in it, but.
Exactly. I had conversations with the town of Colony that they're putting First Street on their paving schedule for this year. We once again will join forces with them, and we'll go with their their paving pricing, and they'll be the lead component on that, just like we did on 8th Avenue. So that's just to let you know that we'll start conversations with it. I know First Street got beat up pretty good this year with National Grid work, but it happened on both sides, so Holly is looking at taking that out this year.
When I last talked to Peter, he was totally in favor of that.
Yeah,
He knew how bad it was.
yeah, I think he's probably getting a lot of calls too. We all know we talked about a couple of alleys that are constrained and, change the operations of the city. The 16th Street alley, the alley on 6th Avenue that goes between 6th and 7th is a paper street or a paper gangway. We had the surveyor out there yesterday, as well as at the AOH, looking at that property over there. So there's 3 properties that also are looking to acquire some of the lands that are there. So we gave the surveyor the 3 properties. I think in a couple of weeks, we'll probably start seeing estimated costs as he starts to dive into some of these deeds and so on. But I'll bring that forth to you when the time comes, because we'll look to notify the surrounding residents there and see if they look to acquire or we clean up the encroachments that have happened. Lastly, go ahead.
Joe, what was the time frame on this? What was it, 10 years that we've been working on this?
I wasn't here 10 years, but I know it's been
A long time, right?
It has been.
Yes, so
Yes.
finishing it up would be
Yeah,
better than that.
So looking at our paving plan, we have several streets identified already. The one positive thing is we're going to be working with Albany County this year, which we are able to purchase at a more reduced rate when it comes to asphalt. So our pricing this year should go down significantly. We've identified 4 streets in Port Schuyler, which is 7th Avenue, 6th Avenue, 2nd Avenue, and 1st. And they all have cross streets attached to those. We have 14th Street up down here. We have 14th Street, 6th Avenue, and 12th Avenue. There's a section that's been cut up again by National Grid on 12th, so we're looking to repave that. Also Selkie Drive, which is the main thoroughfare going into Hudson Shores. It's starting to show us where that's on our paving list for this year. And as I just mentioned, First Street, that we'll do with the town of Connolly cooperatively. Also in the plan, which for this year, what I'd like to do is also propose that we go out for a streetscape and scope out the 4th Avenue from 16th to 19th Street. One of the things I noticed when sitting in the plow truck, last year, that it's a extremely wide road. So I'd like to look at some treatments, one for how we reduce what we have to plow there, what we have to maintain, what we have to rebuild back, but also look at the queuing that seems to be happening at Dunkin' Donuts. Many times as I come through and look around in the mornings, we've got queuing going out to 19th Street, heading, up 19th, and 1 or 2 cars waiting with their directional on, or going up the opposite way towards 16th Street. So I want to start encompassing that study to look at how we could enhance and make some better changes to 4th Avenue, but also look at what we could do and push on to Dunkin' Donuts as to setting up some drive aisle or something like that as well. So that is our paving, and it is lastly now. Today I finally got a call back from our WeDo guy out in Weedsport, and he actually just sent me moments ago the specs needed for our barge boat and for our conveyor. So with that, we're about 90% done with an RFP that should go out and look for cost perspective, so we could acquire both the barge and the conveyor belt, so we can start working on harvesting chestnuts on the reservoir.
That's great.
Joe, one question on the paving plan, just before I forget. We did have in there, are the streets that you're proposing, are they coming off that street study?
Yes, so I already identified all the ones. I have identified all the streets that we did with a couple of change orders, confirmed them with Mr. Katie yesterday afternoon, and that's been shipped over to Mark and Lejuda so they can update that, and then also put on the ones that we have ready to go.
What about the tar cracks or whatever?
Yeah, so we've had that last conversation with Gorman Brothers, and they're gonna look at one of the twos that we have at the range 1 to 5. So we're gonna do one of the twos, which is actually in the Port Schuyler area, which is where CSO will be next year, phase 2, and we're gonna try that slurry sealer on that one. So that's the one that I can identify for that. So
And that's the only one?
that's the only one thus far. We may do something on 19th Street. I haven't fully,
But why the cautiousness on it? I mean, it's a common practice.
whether.
Why being so cautious or, let's say, the step practice?
It is a common practice according to Mark Gorman with it. We just haven't identified which streets are going to be the major candidate. But we did take a look at them where you got the cracks and some of the spiring.
I thought we identified.
We have identified the ratings 1 to 5.
Right.
We haven't identified specifically which ones is a candidate for the spider ratings.
Okay.
So we plan to get that done. But the problem with that is when we got to that point last year, actually, we did one of those streets last year as one of our upgrades, one of our change orders. But we need to get out much further with it and get it done sooner because they have a temperature requirement that it has to be within that 60 degree, 72 degree in order to put that slurry down.
Yeah.
So that's what we got to look at.
I mean, I see it all. I mean, almost every place you
It's a
go.
common practice,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. That's it?
Great.
Want to go into, we'll go into old business?
Your Honor, there is no old business on this evening's agenda.
All right, we'll move into new business.
The first order of new business is local law number 1 for 2023. This is an introduction, and it's a local law to amend Chapter 168, specifically 168-1.2 of the Code of the City of Watervliet.
So after our discussion at the last council meeting, made some adjustments to the proposed local law. No, I have one, thank you. I don't want you to go without. So now, if you look, the changes from the previous version are basically in paragraphs 168, 112C and D. The concern last time was to make sure that people are entitled to 2 garbage containers regardless of their size. So the changes are now, it will allow for the plastic tipper carts as well as kind of your traditional garbage cans with the tight fitting covers. The tight fitting covers, regular garbage cans still cannot exceed 50 pounds because the garbage people are picking those up. The tipper will not have a weight requirement on them. So you can have a mixture of one of the other, both of any kind, but in the end, the city will not be picking up more than 2 garbage containers from any one unit.
But this says one.
No, acceptable garbage containers. So the type of garbage containers are just one, meaning there's 2 types, number 1 and number 2. Number
Oh,
1
I'm
is the
sorry.
plastic
Oh,
tipper
okay.
cart.
Okay, okay.
Number 2 is the regular typical garbage can.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And then if you look at
I
D,
think that's an attorney,
if you look at D,
Okay,
Okay.
yes, there,
each unit offering household garbage collection by the city of Watervliet shall be
Okay.
allowed not more than 2 garbage containers.
Okay.
And we won't collect.
or
more
we could have
than
done A and B.
We could have done A and B.
Thank you.
But we did 1 or 2.
Thank you. All right,
thank you.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. That's great. And
So
then
this will be scheduled for a public hearing on the 16th.
16, that's 6
And
o'clock.
assuming no further changes after tonight, it would be ready for a vote on the 16th.
Excellent. Okay.
And that will be advertised in the record.
Yes.
It will be, yes.
Okay.
Okay. That's it? So
That's
all
it.
set with the
All
quality
set.
here? Okay. All right, we'll go into next resolution, please.
The next one is resolution number 11 for 2023. This is a resolution approving a waiver of the residency requirement for an employee.
So under section 72,
Well, that's right, that's right.
I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 11 for 2023.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Joe, go ahead.
okay. So under section 72, of the code of the city of Watervliet, that code had placed residency requirements on members of the Department of Public Works in the city of Watervliet. That residency requirement, based on, I'm going to say COVID and some of the practices and the constraints going on right now, had put a heavily constrained our recruitment process for the labor position within that department. Now residency is going to be, is our primary goal. We try to meet that whenever we possibly can. But currently we've exhausted all the potentials to hiring someone from the city of Watervliet. When we went out to notify that we had an opening, we had one resident from the city of Watervliet. We had applicants from the city of Cohoes, Albany, Bronx, New York, Gilderland, New York, Salem, Massachusetts, Jamaica, New York, Lithonia, Georgia, Petersburg, Ohio, Grayson, Georgia, and Galatia, New York. And that's how those applications came.
For a laborer's position?
For the labor position. Just the labor position.
Sounds funny to me.
I'll show you the
Yeah.
emails.
Sounds funny to me.
Go ahead,
I'll show you the emails if you like.
Go ahead.
You'd be surprised at.
But with that, we've exhausted the ability to fill that position. We then went out again on a local to just our departments alone. And we got one applicant, again, from our sanitation department, interested in moving up to labor. Now, speaking with our water department people, the ones that are up there, they know there's a distinction between labor highway and labor water. So I think they expressed the fact that that's part of the problem, getting people up into that department. But the water plant, is operating, on a vulnerable status because we have just 3 guys right now. And when one of our guys was on vacation back at the end of November, we had one guy get hit with COVID. And then that following week, that other person got hit with COVID, and that person was still on vacation. So we need to, this waiver is before you, is to allow us to hire one person outside the city of Watervliet, and also bring that other employee up from the sanitation department.
Cool.
So they conducted interviews, right, the
Yes.
supervisors from
Yes, we did.
water and DPW,
Yes.
and they're...
No, we did it with water, because that's where the labor position is going.
Mhm.
So our water supervisor, Dave Dressel, can interviews with me.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. I don't even call a roll. By the way, I did meet the gentleman
Yes.
today. And certainly he's had some good qualifications, so I think he'll be a good asset to the group. Go ahead, Dave.
Councilman Dawes,
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond,
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor.
Resolution number 12 for 2023 is a resolution accepting a donation in the amount of $500 from Capital District Civil War Roundtable to be used for any lawful purpose.
I'll make a motion that we accept that.
And I will second it.
Yeah, it kind of just says it in there.
It's got to be lawful though.
Well, they did say to be used for, to benefit the seniors center or any lawful purpose which the city deems.
Oh, we're putting in close to, how much for the floors?
I think it's about $2,000, almost $2,100 for the new
Putting in $2,100 to get the floors stripped, waxed,
Yeah,
so I think it's lawful, and for the seniors as well.
yes.
Who is this group?
They meet here on Saturdays, once or twice a month,
Is that,
I believe their letters stated monthly.
monthly. I think it's
Okay.
monthly.
it's, the family's here, right here from Second Ave. Give me a second.
Bodner?
So the
Bodner,
middle-
yeah.
Is that-
Is that Mark Bodner?
Yeah, but it's a whole different group. There's
I know he was
Is it
big
the group
into
that does like the reenactments and
Yes,
stuff?
well, parts of it.
Some of it, okay.
Parts of it.
All right, I was
They're
just
involved in
curious.
a lot of stuff. Rosemary Nichols is involved, I think, and a few others that are here.
That round table.
He might have been at one time, but there is another gentleman now that I see all the time.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes,
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond,
Favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor.
Resolution number 13 for 2023 is a resolution accepting a donation in the amount of $494.70 from Watervliet Colony, New York Lodge number 1500 to be used for lights on the gazebo park tree.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 13 for 2023.
I'll second that motion.
I think that spoke for itself. That was the new tree, the big tree down there,
Yes.
that we had reshaped.
Gazebo Park, yes,
Yeah.
beautiful.
So
Look beautiful.
they did a nice job on that. Okay. Any else?
The lights, the actual physical lights, not the electricity.
Correct.
Okay.
Just the
They want
lights.
to decorate, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we bought 30 sets.
Nice.
I think we got close to 30 sets or something like that of lights, LED lights. Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes,
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond,
Favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor.
Your Honor, that concludes the new business on this evening's agenda.
Appropriations and accounting, move into. Amanda, do you have anything?
I think those two donation resolutions were all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. And we did take care of the donation for the pickleball too, didn't we? That's
We took care of that in December,
a
I
couple
believe.
weeks ago. Okay. Good. All right. And I don't have anything else. Going to public comment?
At this time, the mayor and the council have authorized a public comment period. If you wish to address the council, we ask that you step forward, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 2 minutes to address the council.
Timothy Cavanaugh, 908 25th Street. So the residency requirement, non-civil service position, correct? So, somebody might answer that?
I don't know.
Is it a civil service position?
It's a
Clear?
non-civil service, right?
No, it's
Civil service?
It's civil service, it's non-competitive though.
Yeah,
It's-
right.
So it's not a test.
It's not a test, okay. So what we're saying is, in a city of 10,000 people, we have no one interested in this city for a laborer's position. That's what you're telling me. You guys are going to continue to practice of hiring people from outside the city. It's wrong. And it's going to change January 1st when I become mayor. That's the problem with the city, right there. Cohoes, Latham. Wrong. 10,000 people. Tell me there's no one here that needs a job. Shame on you all. Your dad, Barb, was a big supporter of residency. Big supporter. So was it your brother. This is wrong. This is wrong. My opinion, and I respect your decision tonight, but when I take over January 1st next year as mayor, Watervliet people will be coming first. Have a good night. It's wrong. Labor position.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in front of the council? Okay, we'll consider the public hearing closed. I have a motion.
Oh,
Oh, make a motion to adjourn.
Well, I'll make this announcement that our next meeting will be March 16th, 2023, of course. And at 5:30, I intend to present the state of...
February.
Oh, I'm sorry, February, what did I say?
March.
You said
Oh,
March.
March.
I thought,
Yeah.
waited a minute to catch it. I
Okay,
didn't know.
all right. On February 16th, I plan on stating the state of the city at 5:30. Okay? All right.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, are we done?
No,
You have anything else you wanted to bring?
No, I'm not going to say.
We gotta take the roll, right?
Yes.
Madam Chair. I second the motion.
Okay. Councilman Dawes,
In favor.
Councilwoman Diamond,
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor. Thank you, everybody. Good night.